Hey everyone, my name is Alex. I am a family law attorney here in California, and I run a blog called theproblemgaze.com and also the Problem Gaze on Instagram. On my blog and Instagram, I talk about all issues relating to gay dating, marriage, and divorce, including gay parenting issues, so things like adoption, surrogacy, insemination. And I have the great opportunity here to partner with Gays with Kids, and they've asked me to kind of go through some of the legal steps involved in these gay parenting scenarios. So, what this video is going to cover is legal steps involving surrogacy and insemination, both domestic and internationally. So, let's get started. First things first, surrogacy and insemination laws are going to vary state by state. It's not like adoption where it's legal in every state now. Surrogacy and insemination are still considered illegal or invalid in certain states. So you're going to want to do your research and make sure this is happening in a state that allows it. The next thing you're going to want to do is hire a surrogacy attorney. You're really going to want a specialist in this area because the law is so complicated here that you're going to want to make sure you have an expert that is doing everything up to code. So the first thing that surrogacy or insemination attorney is going to do is it's going to draft a contract between you as the parents and whomever the egg donor or sperm donor is. And what that contract is going to do, it's going to lay out what's going to happen after this process takes place. So basically, it's going to say that the egg donor is no longer the birth mother of the child, or perhaps that the sperm donor is no longer the birth father of the child. So it's going to terminate their legal rights as parents of the child that they have helped create. So your surrogacy attorney is going to be key there because he or she is going to know how to address the law and the contract and word things in a way that is recognized by your particular state courts. So you're going to want the attorney to walk you through that entire process. Also, that attorney is going to be able to go to court and get an order that allows both you and your same-sex partner to be on the birth certificate of the child. These laws are changing in states all the time, so states are trying to be more gender neutral and not necessarily require that a birth certificate have a mother and father. So what your surrogacy attorney is going to do is they could either go to court before the child is born and get an order that tells the hospital to put, for instance, both dads on the birth certificate, or you can wait after the child is born. The hospital is going to do what they do. They're going to put the mom and the dad, and then later your surrogacy attorney will go into court with the contract and say, no, in fact, both dads need to be on the certificate, and then that will be amended, and you guys will be the both fathers, for instance, of that child. So your attorney is going to handle not only the surrogacy contract, but that issue of getting both same-sex parents on the birth certificate. So that is one aspect of the process. Another thing you're going to want to do, because as I mentioned, surrogacy and insemination are illegal in certain states, is you're going to want to do a step-parent adoption to secure your legal rights to the child. So what that means, if you are in a state, for instance, like California, where surrogacy is completely legal, you really don't have to worry. But the reason you're going to want to do a step-parent adoption is really if you or your partner ever move to another state where surrogacy or insemination are not recognized, you're going to want a court order from California, for instance, that says you are, in fact, the legal parent and guardian of that child. So just because you're on the birth certificate in certain states, that doesn't matter. Once they find out that the child came about through surrogacy or insemination, you may have some issues there with the law. But if you ever go to one of those states where surrogacy is not allowed and you have a court order from California that says, no, I'm also the legal guardian of this parent, it won't matter. They won't consider those laws and they'll just go off of what the court says. So in order to get that court order confirming that you're the legal guardian, you're going to need to do a step-parent adoption. It's really easy as compared to a regular adoption. There's no court hearing, there's no investigation. There's just a few simple steps. So as long as you are married or in a registered domestic partnership with the birth parent of the child, so if you're two gay dads, that means that if you are married to the sperm donating dad, or if you are two lesbian moms, if you are married or in a partnership with the birth mom, then you're good to go. You just need that relationship and that marriage or partnership. And then all you're going to have to do is fill out some of the adoption forms with the court, submit all the surrogacy paperwork that shows the process you went through, and then file that with the court. And if everything's good to go, you will be deemed the legal guardian of that parent in a step-parent adoption. So that'll just confirm and ensure your rights as a legal parent to that child, no matter where you are. And again, that's important to do because these laws are different in every state. Finally, there's the issue of international surrogacy and insemination. So because this process is so expensive here in the US, you may be considering going international and having an international surrogate or international agency handle the process because it's much less expensive, but there are some warnings with that. So you're always going to want to consider the risks as opposed to the cost. There's all types of stories and issues where the international surrogacy agency use sperm other than the sperm that you donated, or they switch the egg, or there's all these crazy issues that our Department of State here in the US has warned us about that you should just consider before you go through this process. But if you decide to go through this process, if you trust everyone involved and you've done this process, what you're going to need to do is prove that the foreign-born child has a connection to a U.S. citizen. So for instance, if you are the U.S. citizen and you as the dad are donating sperm to the foreign surrogate mom, you are going to need to do some sort of DNA test or something to prove the connection between you and the foreign-born child. That way that child can be issued a passport and be deemed a U.S. citizen. So it's really going to go into the immigration process at that point, just to prove that you're related to the child. Once you prove that you're related to the child, you can apply through the embassy or the consulate in that country that you've done the surrogacy, and bring them on in to the U.S. and then go through the entire process of having the child here and just confirming that you are the parent of the child here. So it's going to involve a number of other considerations. I've actually attached a link that summarizes the international process in a little more detail, so hopefully that'll be helpful to you, and hopefully this video was helpful to you as far as all your considerations for surrogacy and insemination, both domestic and internationally. If you have any follow-up questions, I know this is pretty complicated and requires a lot of thought. My contact information is embedded in this article, and I'd be happy to help with any follow-up. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.